So as we spoke about before we started this podcast, I wanted to make a point today of rest and how we can start learning to live off the clock as to make the time when we're on the clock more useful and more successful. I think it's very easy to fall into a trap of thinking that when you want to work towards things and strive to be better, that you're sort of not allowed to rest. It's something, as I said to you before, that we touched on before we or when we work towards things, we feel as though we constantly have to be working. And in doing so, we actually reduce the quality of the work that we're doing because we're anxious, we're not happy with what we're doing, our performance goes down when we don't afford ourselves the appropriate amount of rest. I have noticed that in myself, it's very easy to get into this sort of cycle of feeling guilty about doing things that you really shouldn't feel guilty about. As we said before, sitting on Netflix just for an hour at the end of the day shouldn't be something you feel guilty about. It should be something that you learn to think, I'm allowed to do things just because I want to do them. So as in an effort to make essentially anyone who's listening to this have a more positive experience with the process of working, I just want to make that point of what your relationship is like with rest versus work.
Okay, yeah, well, I do a lot of, obviously, playing football, training, and then when I'm not football training, I'm in the gym or I'm football coaching with younger kids. But, yeah, so I don't get a lot of rest until, like, maybe the end of the day. And I don't mind doing it, actually. Like, you say, like, I don't really feel guilty because I'm completely winding down. Like, I'm actually falling asleep to it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it is important, though, because I really think I never do it during the day because I'm actually always busy doing, like, all the coaching and training and gym and stuff. So at the end of the day, it's like a wind down for me and just to chill. However, like, yeah, I don't really feel guilty doing that. Maybe I probably might be downstairs and then I don't go to bed for a while. That's probably when I do feel guilty doing it. Cause
Yeah.
I'll just be like, I don't even go to bed. I'm like quite enjoying, quite comfy down here with my dog. But yeah, no, it is important. It is important just to chill, and hopefully that makes you happier into what you're doing and more successful. I think that does work. So yeah.
I don't think it's a point that's made enough, though, that as I say, I shall expand on what I mean by feeling guilty on this point. I noticed that I seem to have quite well evaded this feeling recently, but I've noticed that my value as a person and my happiness is directly hinged on how much work I do. There's sort of like a quota where it's like, if you don't do this much, you're not going to feel good today. And I've noticed that some days that quota cannot be fulfilled. There are more important things at hand. For instance, my brother's about to go away travelling. He's going to be away for fuck knows how long. So things like Muay Thai training on a Saturday, I haven't been going to because I would rather spend the time, I go for a run with him in the morning, I'd rather spend the time afterwards having a coffee with him than going and getting punched in the face. Yeah. So I've had to sort of wrangle with this idea of knowing where my priorities actually are. And I think this is the point I'm touching on when it comes to work, is it can sort of, all the time that you know it's important to push on towards something, you can let other things fall by the wayside that are actually more important. As I say, for me, I can always get punched in the face. I just need to wind my mum up enough and I'll do it. Or, you know, that session there on a Saturday is not going to go anywhere. My brother is. So at this point in time, it's actually more important for me to not be pushing on with that work and actually, there you go, and actually enjoy the time that is important.
Yeah.
I notice that there is a sort of subliminal feeling of guilt there where it's like, oh, but you haven't gone for about a month now. And it's like, yes, but there is something more important at hand. Yeah. And when you're someone who strives to work on things, it's very easy to feel as though it is you either work or you're asleep, and there's no in between. I do think, though, you touched on something really evident there, that if you do it right, you kind of can't help but feel deserving in your rest. If you do it at the end of the day after a good day's work, then that certainly goes a long way. But I do notice still in myself, it's like, as I said to you before, I get in about 10 o'clock and it's like, right, you're not doing anything now. You don't leave the podcast where it is and just chill out. It's 10 o'clock. You don't need to be on that phone sorting anything out. Just chill out. There's still something in me, though, that if at 10:30 I feel, God, that's a good idea, I can't help but feel like I need to go back and do it. And if I don't, I will feel guilty about that. And I think there is this sort of cycle of, in wanting to improve, you have to push those boundaries, which means you've got to work more than is essentially healthy to a lot of the time, which is good. You know that that's sort of part of the contract. You know that's what you take on when you choose to work towards something, is you're going to spend a lot of time doing it, and you're going to spend time doing it that you probably, if your sole purpose was to be happy, you wouldn't be doing, because there is a sort of point where you have to do enough to get what you want so that you can feel better. I do want to open up this sort of channel of communication on the point that if you don't put rest into your day, if you don't provide yourself with any amount of time to just relax and just enjoy the world without feeling as though you have to do some sort of arbitrary amount of work to warrant yourself that right, I think if you fall into this spiral, it's not a happy one. It's a successful one, quite possibly, but what's the point in being successful if you're not happy?
Yeah, I think what you just made there, at that point there, I think
Carry on, sorry.
You end up adding unnecessary pressure on yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The amount of time and effort you put into something, if you're constantly doing it, you're constantly worrying, okay, I should be becoming successful by now. I'm doing it every day, I'm doing this. But you do need that rest, because as soon as you rest, you're completely taking your mind off what you're striving to do, which is beneficial, because you end up being happier, and then you end up performing better on your podcast or in my football, because you're not overthinking. I think it makes you overthink as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of the added pressure that you're just putting on yourself, which is probably unnecessary. Like, you might have an idea come into your head. I might be sitting there and like, oh, I haven't done my push-ups today. I haven't done my training. Like, let me get up and do it now, because it's like midnight.
Yeah, I've got to do it.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens, but then sometimes I just think to myself, like, no, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, chill out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happens. But yeah, no, I think it does add pressure to you, and you need to wind down when it's necessary and at the right time. You can't like maybe during the day, and like you spend all day watching Netflix, and then you're like, okay, I could have definitely done something today. What am I doing? Yeah. But maybe a couple hours, an hour in your schedule where you can find some chill time. Maybe schedule that chill time.
That's quite an important point.
Yeah, schedule the chill time instead of just like doing it random. Because I think if you're doing it random, you end up doing like 5 hours straight one day, and then the next day you're not doing any, and then you're not chilling, and you've had a whole chill day and then no chill. Yeah. So I think definitely as a chill time, like, schedule it, and it might, it's beneficial for you, I'm pretty sure.
You'll either find a way to not do it or do too much of it.
Yeah.
I think, absolutely, I think it's key. See, I have found that scheduling this time in has absolutely helped me, because then I can rationalise it in my head the same way I rationalise work, that it's like, that was the time to work, this is the time to do this. And don't get me wrong, I think you can sort of know that it's not healthy to constantly be working and still do it. And I think part of that is there's a sort of an addictive sense to work. I notice with me, if I've gone way past the time that I said I would, there's sort of that spark in me where it's like, oh look, again, you're doing way more than everyone else. You do it, you put an extra in, and it's like, yeah, but is this actually healthy at the moment? Like, are you actually happy doing what you're doing? And I think it's such a difficult balance to conjure of, you've got to work, but you have to rest, and they can't help but conflict with each other. And that's why I wanted to make a point of it today, because you hear plenty about hustle, 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 and you don't hear a great deal about sometimes it would do you well to just go, do you know what, today I'm not doing this today. I'm going to go for a walk and just relax.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because like you did just say, I don't see any videos or any kind of people talking about rest, like, at all. It's more just like, you better be doing this because other people are working right now. Or like, obviously we're in a time zone, and then there's other people in the world that are doing something right now as well, because they're in different time zones. So it's just like, you need to think rest is important, because if you don't, then I just feel like you are overwhelming yourself completely.
You'll burn out.
Yeah, you burn out, and I've probably burnt out more than I probably realised.
Yeah, quite possibly.
But I'm thinking I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Which probably, maybe I do need to take a bit of time, go chill with your friends, go for a walk. I mean, I walk my dog every day, and I quite like doing that. That is probably a great kind of chill exercise for me, but maybe do more stuff that's not just football.
Yeah.
Because it is my life, basically. Football coaching, football playing, gym, I'm working on football stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, just maybe I should take this advice and just chill out a little bit, and maybe have a not like fun, but it is a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But like, just take your mind off it, is what I'm going at there. Like, completely just think about something else.
Switch it off.
Switch off. Yeah.
It's hard though, because
it's hard when you want it so bad.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. I'm pretty sure I said last time that the conqueror's mindset has no off switch. It's like you can't half be that way. It is the way that you are. It's that constant desire to do something. I have noticed though that this is something that's particularly salient in the self-improvement industry, or sort of sphere, is there are these things that are sort of blacklisted, where it's like, you don't go on your phone, you don't watch Netflix, you don't eat that food. You can sort of guess the things that fall into this category. I have noticed recently that as someone who's I had about a 2-year sabbatical from Instagram and basically just kind of being in some form of social loop that wasn't a particular group of friends in a kind of small setting. I noticed that when I came back onto Instagram for the sake of this, that I'm not scrolling on that, but I am sending people texts, and I am talking to people, and I'm interacting. And I've noticed that I spent a very long time thinking, keep that away from you. That's gonna cause you problems. It's gonna be awful for you. And that message is widely circulated. I would argue though that my state of sort of confidence and comfort has increased since being on Instagram, because it's brought me to a place where I can actually talk to people. And it's like, I spent a really long time thinking I can't go anywhere near that because it's pathogenic. I can't be on Instagram. Doom scrolling will await me. And now I've got onto it, and it's like, yeah, but it means I'm speaking to people that I wouldn't have otherwise spoken to. I'm connecting with people that otherwise I couldn't, because I haven't seen them for 2 years. It's like, how could I talk to this person without being on this? I think there is a sort of... I don't think it's necessarily right to just blacklist things when you're hustling and say, right, I'm working on my football, so I can't ever do that stuff. Yeah. I think in that sort of avoidance, you're almost admitting to yourself that you can't handle that. Like, if you just totally avoid something, you're not actually proving that you're in control of it. You're just avoiding it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're on the platform and you know, right, I'm not going to scroll on this, but it's definitely useful for me to be able to speak to people, then you're using that in a healthy way.
It depends how you use it, I think. Because if you're just sat, like you said, like scrolling, I think, what do they call it?
Doom scrolling.
Yeah, doom scrolling or brain rot, whatever they say, yeah. If you're just caught doing that, which obviously happens to everyone, it happens to me sometimes, I'm just like, why have I just been scrolling for so long? I'm not literally watching nothing. But it depends how you use social media. Obviously, it has its positives, has its negatives. But like you said, talking to people, getting to know, to understand people behind the social media, because like we see on social media, and you've seen people talk about it as well, it's not their real life. It's like, sometimes it is, but they'll post their good moments, because no one posts their bad moments. No one wants to see that. But you don't like, by just talking to them, you understand what the person's actually like behind the posts.
Yeah, behind the profile.
Behind all the positive, what's the word?
The facade.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, all the positivity they're posting. And then you just might send a DM to them, and then you might be understanding actually they're not as comfortable or as they're showing, basically.
Yeah, or this person who posts pictures of them reading all the time can't actually string a conducive sentence together.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So I think, yeah, using social media to its for its like positives,
which there are.
Yeah, which of course there are. Like I think the biggest one's communicating with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. I couldn't have communicated with all my loved ones, all my family, when I was in America. I wouldn't have been able to do that without social media, without WhatsApp, without Instagram, Snapchat. Couldn't have done that. So there you go. Like all the communication, I think, is the best, because you just learn as well. You can text people you don't even know, and just ask them random things, or things that you would want to know.
Yeah.
Which is, as much as you could just search it up sometimes, actually hearing it from someone just to talk to you like directly is a lot more positive, I think.
Yeah, you can put it's encapsulated in a better way.
Yeah.
And I would argue as well, I have noticed that an issue that I've spoken about on here quite a few times now, because I think it's important, is that difficulty that people find with approaching strangers, talking to people about things. I have noticed that my propensity to do that has increased since being on Instagram, because I'm texting random people. And there's still some, you are attached to the message that you send. So there's still that sort of anxiety. Like on Friday, I believe it was, I sent two people who I was both of which I was uncomfortable to send a sort of, do you want to come on the podcast message to? I sent them this message, and I had that simmering feeling of discomfort that I would get if I was going up to someone.
Yeah.
And I think the point I want to make is, a lot of people resign from social media because they quite rightly can see its negatives, which there are plenty. But I do think there's a place for it. I think there's a way where, and I have been fallen foul of doing this many a time, where you feel like in order to hustle, in order to improve, you need to do, as you said last time, what no one else is doing. Sometimes, though, there are things that people are doing that you should be doing. And I've noticed, I've found myself in many positions where I've sort of thought, oh, everyone else is doing that, let me purposefully do the opposite thing, just because it means I'm not doing what everyone else is doing, I'm not following the crowd. And it's like, yeah, but sometimes the crowd is doing something that would help you. Sometimes it would be good for you to be on your phone texting someone. And it's so uncomfortable, actually, for me to talk about this, because I've spent so long rejecting that thought of saying, no, you stay well away from that phone. And there's a part of me still on this sort of point of being able to rest, where it's like, I worry whether now that I'm in the loop will create my spiral. And it's like, oh, this is the beginning of the end now that you're back on social media. It's not the case for a start, but I think that's the narrative that's pushed when people are told to stay away from social media, is that it's only a bad thing and it's going to ruin you. If you can control social media to your advantage, you only text people. I don't scroll on social media at all, because I think that is where the problem comes from. But if you click on someone's story because there's someone you think, oh, I want to talk to this person, I think there is a way to utilise it well. And I think we've sort of forgotten the fact that whether we like it or not, the world is living on a platform now. And if you're not on that platform, there will be times when that loneliness that comes with working hard will be exacerbated because you're just not in the loop. There's people who will have forgot that I existed because I've been off social media for best part of 3 years. And it's like, if you're not in the brain, then you're not thought about. And if you're not thought about, then you're not connected. And in that lack of disconnect or that lack of connection rather, that comes from pulling yourself out of what can be a bad thing in social media, you can invite yourself into a realm where you're improving, but similar to not being able to rest, you're not actually improving on some of the more important parts of the human psyche, like being able to hold a conversation, being able to maintain eye contact with someone, being able to flirt with someone, these sort of things. I think when we choose to strive for our goals, we forget that we also have to learn to be capable of integrating into a society.
Yeah, I think, like you said, social media is... there's loads of positives, loads of negatives. And if you do find all the positives out of it, you're going to become successful. I think now, most of the time, people are becoming very successful by just posting on social media because you're getting seen, you're putting yourself out there. I think that's where I'm not as good because I don't do it.
Yeah.
I need to probably do it just to put myself out there.
Exactly.
But then, like you said, all the doom scrolling is not good for you. But maybe just kind of showing who you are on there, I think is important, and keep on. Because, like you said, people might forget who you are. I haven't posted in ages. Then people are like, "Oh, you've posted, haven't seen you in ages. Where have you been?" I was like, "Don't know, just don't post. Like I'm still here."
Yeah.
But people don't realise, like...
But people kind of forget that you're there, though.
Yeah, they do, but also, like, because they're constantly on their phone, they're like, oh, this person must not exist now because I haven't seen them on Instagram or Snapchat in a while. And it's like, it's not true, but because I think in 2025, everyone always on social media, it becomes them thinking that.
Yeah, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. So, yeah, obviously the importance of social media is to communicate, if that's how we're ending it. Like, communication is the best thing. Like you said, this podcast wouldn't exist if you didn't have social media. If you didn't like DM these other people that you want to get on your podcast, how would this podcast exist without that?
But that's been an uncomfortable thing for me that's been an uncomfortable hurdle for me to jump over. I really didn't want to be on social media because I know that there is absolutely a way where it goes badly, and it's just not a good part of people's lives. So many people say, "Oh God, I wish I didn't use this phone so much," and that has been something that's worried me. Where it's like, I really don't want to be on this, but I have to be. You know, I can't, as you say. This podcast will not go anywhere if I don't bite that bullet and say, well, you're going to have to get your name out there. You're going to have to send people messages. You're going to have to put the posts out there on the platforms and all the rest of it. Why do you think it is that you don't do that?
I think it's because I don't really know. I don't know. Like, maybe because I'm not completely happy with where I am.
In what sense?
In the sense, like, I think if I was proper in, like, the professional game or pushing towards it, like, I am still pushing towards it, but I'm getting the right amount of photos, maybe getting the photos just to put on. Maybe I'd post more. Yeah. But also kind of just... It's not that I'm not happy where I am, because I'd obviously always keep striving to be higher. But I think maybe I don't do it just because I quite like I see a lot of people just post in the gym. Like, people just click off, click on, click off. Like, I just go. I don't see the need to put it on my phone.
Yeah.
That's another reason, part of it as well. So I think, like, sometimes you're just like, okay, I'm at the gym, I'll put it on my story, but, like, what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't really need to do that. So I go to the gym every day, but I just don't think people really need to know that.
And I would argue as well, I've thought this many a time, that when someone posts a picture of them in the gym or reading a book, it's like, I don't mean to sound like an arse, but if I did that, you would see a post from me all the time. And it's like,
Yeah,
in posting once, it's like, well, how often are you actually doing this?
Yeah.
And if you're taking a picture of the book, you're not reading the book. So in looking like you're reading the book, you're not reading the book.
Yeah.
Just read the book.
Like the other day, I literally posted that I was at the gym, and I was like, I never do that. Why did I just do that?
Yeah.
And then, because I could just do that every single day, but then people are just seeing Jake is at the gym every single day. Like, there's no change. So that's another reason why I just don't post, because I could easily just do it. And I also think it might be boring for people viewing that. So I'll just be like, I'll just carry on doing my thing without posting. And then I think the other thing is, when I've posted in the past, you're constantly looking, who's liked it? Who's commented on it? Who cares? And I'm just like, I've realised by not posting, I'm not even worried about that, because I don't need to worry about that, which I think's probably the main reason. Like, I don't... It sounds bad, but obviously you like the positivity that people give to you on your posts and stuff, but you're constantly looking at it, and I'm just like, it's my normal day. I do that every single day anyway, so why? I don't need this kind of... Maybe people do it because they need that positivity, and maybe people, they want that kind of compliments from people. So maybe that is a reason, but I just don't find myself doing it. Maybe I should do it more. Just to kind of... I think for me, it's to put myself out there, not to seek kind of gratification from people. I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
But more to put myself out there and to show my journey. I think I need to do more, and I'd say that.
I think people outsource their sense of value in that sort of, who's liked this post, who's seen this post. I have noticed myself doing that more since posting. And it's like, it's hard because I have frequently, when I was sort of, I never went off social media, kind of deleted the account. I would go on it once every 2 weeks to see whether my fight gym had posted a picture that I could keep.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that when I've gone on my phone and it's like, I had a good picture from a time went out or something, I'm like, I should post that. And it's like, yeah, but why? Like why? I've had the good night. Why do I need to post it? And when I boil it down, it's like, well, because I want other people to see that I had a good night.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because then I look cool. And it's like, why do you care?
Yeah.
Like, why do you care? And I think it's difficult because I would argue, now that I've sort of got a bit more understanding of where the ground is laid here, that in many respects, you are sort of showing yourself to people that could be useful for you to get in touch with. So, you know, if you've got a picture, like for instance, let's boil it down to a real simple point here for the sake of the rest of it. If you're wanting to date someone, a lot of the time now that comes through social media. If you've got no pictures on there, then that person doesn't know anything about you.
Yeah.
And in not knowing anything about you, you don't get what you want. So in some respects, I look and I'm like, there is a bullet to be bitten of, you have to post on there so that someone actually knows you exist, or what you look like, or what you are like. But then also, you don't want to fall into that spiral of going, oh, well, who's watching that? Have I got 100 views yet? Was it?
Yeah.
Like, it's a hard one. It is hard.
I think it's important for, like you said, your podcast, to see how many views you're getting, because then that's like, okay, my podcast is going somewhere.
Yeah.
I think for the Instagram, I don't think I've posted in like 2 years. Maybe a year. And it's just like, I just haven't found anything to kind of... I could just post a picture of me playing football. People know I play football, so I don't know. Like, I think if I'm like progressing and I'm happy with what I've done, I think I might then post, but I'm happy with what I'm doing anyway. So
Exactly. When does that point come?
yeah. So I think for me, to post is to get myself out there more. I think that's what my aim would be to do, because I don't do that, and I'm seeing a lot of people become successful through social media because people are suddenly hearing about you. People don't know about you if you don't put anything about you on there.
We're in the social media world. Whether you like it or not, this is a big part of the world. I don't like it, but it's there. You can't deny it.
And that's making me realise, like, okay, maybe I should start posting. My dad said to me, Dakey, you need to put yourself out there because you're a talented footballer, but people don't know that.
Yeah.
People don't know who you are. Yes, you went to America. You've come back to England now. People don't know who you are. So I've realised now I need to start kind of putting myself out there, but I need to have the kind of content to do that. Like, I post and I play football, but I play, but I need to post that. But I don't feel like the post that I would post, I'd need to actually have clips of me playing to put it on the story or to put it on the post so people see it, so people then share it and stuff. I think just a picture of me playing, it's not going to do anything. You need the actual kind of clips. So maybe I'll start posting that on a story or sending it around and stuff.
Do you think it's a different sort of discipline?
As in, like, what, to make sure you're on top of social media?
Yeah. To know that you don't like this thing, but you know you need to do it.
Yeah.
I would argue that sounds a lot like a lot of the stuff that you would otherwise do.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe that's probably why I don't post it as well. Like, for me, I don't see the reason, but then people are becoming successful on it, and like you said, we're in the social media kind of generation. You're gonna have to do that. People are just getting, like, famous on social media just for, I don't know, people go on TikTok and read conspiracy theories and all of a sudden they have millions of followers. I'm like, what is going on? These stories already exist and you've got 1 million followers and all of a sudden you're famous.
Yeah.
And
have you looked into those just on that point?
I haven't looked into them, but I've seen like people do it.
Yeah.
I've seen TikTok conspiracy theories and they have this like mysterious voice and I'm like, what? Like, you've literally got over 1 million followers by doing that. How is that possible?
You got 1 million followers by talking about how Saddam Hussein was captured for no good reason.
Yeah, and people already know that.
Oh, well.
Yeah, well, people already know all these stories, but because you're retelling them, all of a sudden you've got all these millions of followers. Where has that come from?
Well, on that though, it's because in something like, insert any conspiracy you can think of, it requires quite a lot of study and information or acquiring information to know about that thing. And if you can provide someone with sort of the gist of that in 60 seconds, that is valuable. Because I, as someone who loves conspiracies and does spend quite a bit of time looking into some of them, it takes a long time to really start unravelling that. I was recently looking at, do you know who Charles Manson is? He was the leader of a cult in America, who basically they went and killed 7 people. It's a convoluted story, but to look into that took, God, I don't know. There were so many threads and things to look through to sort of connect pieces up that it's like, if I could have encapsulated that into 2 minutes and sort of got someone on the scent with a bit of information, or on the trail, that would be valuable. I think the point to touch on there is, if social media is used the right way, there is value to it. And on that point, to sort of bring this back to what we said about rest, if you use it in the right way for your own sake, not just for the viewers for getting your name out there, if you use it the right way, I do think there's value to it. Because like one point I've noticed recently, in having more of a social media presence, I've essentially by accident come across videos on YouTube and things like that that are either trending or are a good point to make in conversation. Like I saw a video of a man punching a kangaroo in the face. Now that's fucking stupid, and it does, and there's no informative value to that.
To audience, that's so interesting and so like, what, I'm gonna click on that and watch that.
But from my perspective, I had a conversation with Ethan yesterday about this, and it brought a tremendous amount. It brought a lot to the conversation because it just, I don't know. There's a sort of lack of connection that can come when you're not somewhat in the loop. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're fucking flying around that loop 6 hours a day, scrolling across it, you're way too far in. I think the balance is I do think there's a place for these things. I do genuinely think there is. The same way as if you drink one glass of wine in the evening, you're healthier than someone who doesn't, in theory. I think if you totally abstain, you might actually be doing yourself some damage. Now, I would take TikTok totally out of the equation here. I shall go on record to say this, somewhere I shall never ever venture into ever again. But I do, just because I think TikTok is the one where it's like, you don't get that communication.
Did you delete it then?
Yeah, I haven't been on TikTok for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
And that's the thing, like, I've realised that, like, the communication isn't as good as, like...
You're just sending videos.
You are sending videos, but right now, the people just getting out there from it because it's the most used app.
Yeah, that's true.
The people are just, like, getting famous of stupid reasons. And it's like, I've seen some, like the conspiracy theories one, but some of them, they're not even talking. They put like an AI voice.
Yeah.
And they've got like, I don't know, someone playing Subway Surfers under it. And they've got like 1 million views. And then you talk to people, yeah, I love those videos. And it's like...
Yeah, people do.
What? Like, but people do love those videos, and that person's realised, and now they're making loads of money off TikTok by not even showing who they are and just putting random stories and adding someone playing Subway Surfers, and they're getting loads of money from it.
It's playing the game.
Yeah.
Ironically, in that sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they are playing. They're playing the social media kind of. They've realised that, oh, I can make money out of this, and it's clever. But you've got to put the time into it, and to realise that obviously a video can go viral overnight, but the amount of people that you need to put effort into doing that, they've probably put so much time into it anyway. So
I think that's where the difference is found between the poster and the watcher. I notice from my angle of social media, I'm spending quite a lot of time in theory on social media through, I would argue in some sense being on it right now, between then posting and all the rest of it. But it's like you're doing it in a different way. Yeah. You're not scrolling.
And I think, I mean, for yours anyway, it's quite beneficial to the listener. Like, people are interested in the conversations, but they're also learning. Like,
well, that's the goal.
Yeah, and definitely, I've even just learned stuff talking in the podcast, but I'm sure all the other people have done that as well. Like, for example, today, our topic of rest. I probably should rest more. I probably should take my mind off things and maybe go and do something a bit more relaxed. Like, yes, I walk my dog every day, but maybe I'm still... It's weird, like you said, the kind of... What was the thought of when you're just so focused on something, like, you can't get it out of your head? Whatever you said there.
What about the conqueror's mindset?
Yeah.
Oh, it comes to no off switch.
Yeah, so, for example, I'm walking my dog, but I'm still thinking about, when am I going to go pro?
What can I do?
The dog. I'm on my own, so I'm not talking to anyone. So, yeah, it still is in your mind. So, yeah, rest, going back to it, is important. It is.
There's a point here that I just wanted to link in back to our former podcast. Have you meditated?
You know what? I downloaded the app.
Okay.
And I just haven't found the perfect time to do it, because today I was going to do it. Do you know what my dad did? Oh, I left my car at the train station. We need to go pick it up. And I was like, it's 6 a.m. Like, what? Because my dad was going to work. My mum had to work, and I was like, I need to go up and drive my dad to the train station. So I did that. Was so tired when I got back, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to meditate before I come to this podcast today. and I was so tired, so I had a nap, and then I walked the dog, and I had breakfast, and I was like, oh, I need to go to the podcast now. I didn't have time, but I downloaded the app, and I just haven't got around to doing it yet. But I'm going to. I'll probably end up doing it tonight or something.
I make the point because it's been something that's been very useful for me in sort of breaking that loop of what can I do? How can I, because the art of meditation comes in noticing that thought and breaking it down in some sense. You're not supposed to get lost in your thought. If you're going off elsewhere, you do need to bring it back to the breath, but also noticing the complexion of your thought is really important. And I can now monitor my mind much better when it comes to, no, you're walking your dog, let's just shelf that as best as you can. And even that understanding of myself, of going, look, I know if I say to you, stop thinking about it, you're just going to think about it more. Yeah. Like I know the way that I am with that, but I can more readily now go, no, we're with friends at the moment, or we're walking the dog. You can think about it if you want to, but we're not going to do anything about it at the moment. So you're doing something else at the moment. And on that point, similar to what I just said there about the sort of different form of discipline, I think it is a different form of discipline to learn how to rest, to learn how to go, no, I am going out to London today with my friends. I'm not doing work today because I'm a human being and I'm allowed to sometimes just go and do something that I want to do. Yeah. I think it's a different form of discipline because I think it's showing yourself that you're not. I can't remember who it was that said this, but does your routine, are you in control of your routine, or is your routine in control of you? And I think that's an important point, because I spent a great deal of time where if I missed doing a plank in the morning, or I only meditated for 10 minutes this morning, all of a sudden I was thinking, oh God, my day's gonna, what was it? And it's like, if you think that you can't perform on a day, or that you're not a valuable person because you haven't managed to complete some arbitrary amount of work in the morning, how actually in control of yourself are you? Because you're basically saying that your ability to do anything is directly hinged on how much work you're doing. Is it always going to be the case where you can do that amount of work? No. So what are you saying, that on the days when you, for reasons of life, can't get that work in, that we're just going to throw this day by the wayside because you haven't managed to do you haven't managed to go to the gym today? It's a very silly thought.
I think, that does happen to me. I've never really thought, is my routine in control of me, or am I in control of my routine? I kind of just go, okay, I'm going to the gym today. I'm not sure what time, so I didn't really have a time, but I'll do everything I need to do first, and then I'll go to the gym, and then I'll come back. So today, I've got my football coaching and after school club, and I know I'm going to go to the gym after that, like straight after, because it's down the road. So I'll do it what's best at the time. I'll just have to make sure I'll go.
Yeah.
So, for example, tomorrow, I have a game, but I'm not sure, will I have time to go to the gym? Yes, I could probably go in the morning, but I've also got coaching before the football game as well. So I need to make sure, actually, should I go in the morning, or should I probably rest in that time? Because I'll have gym, coaching, football game. And I'm like, oh, okay, that might be quite a lot. Maybe I should have rest on a game day a little bit. But, for example, at the gym, I'll probably just stretch. I'll make sure I'm just prepared. And that's all I'll do. I won't do like a full-on workout. But yeah, no, I've never thought if my routine's in control. I just have to make sure. I just tell myself, okay, I'm going to go to the gym today. I'm going to play football or go to training at this time. So I think my day's kind of pretty busy, so I don't really think if my routine's in control. I just kind of do my day and then see what happens in the day, basically. So yeah, I haven't really thought about that, but maybe it probably is. My routine is probably in control because I'm most of the time not chilling. So then there you go. I'm probably not in control. To be fair, most of the time in the morning, if I get up early, I'll have more time, obviously, to chill. But if I just lie in and I'm like, okay, I don't need to be at work until this time, I can lie in until this time. Or I could get up, actually do something, and then I could, like, chill. For example, today, my dad was like, take me to the train station. I did that like 6:30, got back at 7, and I was tired, but I was like, I wasn't too tired, so I kind of just I put Match of the Day on, and I just watched it for a bit, and then I ended up falling asleep because I was tired. But you kind of have to. What I've probably taught myself is if you get up, and you have more of your day to kind of do what you want, and then you have more time to chill, because then if you just lie in, you've got your work, you've got your football, your podcast, and then you've got work. Then you're like, oh, I haven't had time today to chill. But if you got up and you did all the stuff you needed to do before, like I could go to the gym at 9 o'clock tomorrow, then I don't need to go to the gym at 3 after my after school club. So that time from my after school club until football training later, I have chill. Whereas I don't get up, and then I just do all the stuff that I need to do in the house, make breakfast or something, then I go to the gym. All of a sudden it's a bit later and I'm like, oh, then I might as well go straight to my after school club because it's near, and then I'll go football training after that, and it's like, oh, I didn't have enough time. But getting up earlier, you probably do. People don't realise, actually, maybe if you get up and then go to the gym, then you come back, what, could be like 11 o'clock. Some people might not be out of bed if they don't work. So it's just like, people might moan that they don't have enough time, but if you might get up and just go to bed on time, I'm probably guilty of it sometimes. Go to bed late, and then I'm just like, oh, that's probably my worst thing.
Going to bed late.
Maybe because I'm enjoying my day.
Yeah,
my dad said this to me before, like, you're enjoying your day, so you don't really want it to end. You're just kind of chilling and you're watching TV downstairs, you're with your dog, and you quite like it. You're kind of just resting, and then you fall asleep on the sofa, and I wake up and it's like 2 a.m, and I'm like, stop doing that. It's like, go to bed on time. Maybe watch TV in your bed for a bit, turn it off, then go to bed. But I think my dad said before, it's because you're enjoying your day. You're just enjoying it, so you're kind of just having fun, and then you're like, my dad's like, go to bed. And I'm like, nah, I watch the tennis downstairs. Like, I do that. I watch the tennis, and then, I don't know, I quite like where I am right now. And then I kind of get annoyed at myself because I haven't gone to bed on time. And then you don't go to bed on time, you get up late, and then you're tired. So maybe going to bed earlier, because you don't just wake up tired, you recover better in your sleep. Your mind's better because you're more focused and you're more switched on. Probably more relaxed because you're not as tired anymore. So yeah, I think what I've learned is go to bed earlier, which I knew is the thing. Everyone knew that, but actually put it into practice and actually do it. Wake up early, go gym, because I sometimes go gym like earlier than some other days because I just don't really have a set time. But maybe if I just, for example, tomorrow, I'll just get up and then I might go earlier or something like that, and then see how much time I have, because you just got to. People say they don't have enough time to chill, but are you sure? Yeah, like you probably do. I mean, for the people that obviously work 9 to 5, it's difficult because you get up, go to work, you come back, and then you're like, I've got to make dinner, or I've got, I don't know, whatever you need to do, and then all of a sudden it's bedtime and you've got to do the same the next day. But if you don't do that, make use of your time, and because obviously people with 9 to 5, they do need that chill time at the end of the day before they just go at it again the next day. But if you don't, just wake up earlier, chill out, and do what you need to do.
Make your own 9 to 5.
Yeah, make your own time, kind of thing. So yeah, that would be my advice, and I should probably take it a bit more, because it's not completely consistent. Like I'm consistent in going to the gym and doing everything that I need to do, but I could probably have a bit more time to chill if I maybe scheduled my time a bit better. So yeah.
Now, I have a point that I would like to explore on that, in tying in with our sort of the discipline of rest. When you're on the sofa, it's getting late, you're with your dog, you're enjoying the tennis. If I said to you that I could extinguish any of your worries of next day being tired or waking up too late or not having the time to do your things, would you take that trade of saying, right, you're not going to be tired, you're going to be well rested, all the rest of it? If I said to you, you could never again sit with your dog and just watch the TV.
You wouldn't, would you?
You wouldn't take it.
No.
And this is the point that I argue and will argue with people, is optimizing isn't always optimal. It doesn't always make sense to do the hard graft or do the hard work, because it fails to touch on the fact that sometimes there are things that you just want to do, there is no work value to going for a walk with your mates on a nice sunny day, but there is an enjoyment. And what are we here for? Are we not here to enjoy this world and to be a part of something where we look back and we go, yeah, I've had some really nice times in my life. I'm a happy person. What is the point in constantly, as someone who's experienced this, I am not happier when I've got a good night's rest if it means that for every night before that, I haven't been out with my friends, I haven't done the things that I wanted to do, I haven't gone to football up in London where I'll get back at 1 a.m. If I said, no, I'm not doing any of that now because I want my 8 o'clock wake up and I want to be ready to go to the gym at 9. So I think we lose touch with reality sometimes when it comes to what's actually important about working. There are absolutely times when you shouldn't be working as hard as you can, and that's as a soundbite is going to sound funny to people because you've heard so much that you should always be working. No, you shouldn't. There are times when you should just enjoy your life. Dare I say it, enjoy this world.
I think people misinterpret. They go, I need to do this. I need to have all this work, and I need to put all this effort into what I'm doing constantly, without any rest, because if I'm resting, someone else is doing more than me right now. Yes, to an extent, but they probably have their rest time as well.
Yeah.
They're not constantly at it, and if they are, they're not happy. And I think people don't realise that this rest or this chill time is probably benefiting your performance more than if you're not resting.
It will do.
Because if you're not resting, like we said earlier, you're adding pressure, you're overwhelming, you're probably tired when you're doing it, you're not doing it properly.
And in your case, if you're not doing it properly because you're tired, how much more likely are you to get injured?
Very likely. 100%. Like, if you're not doing what you're doing properly, like your gym properly, or you're going into tackles, like they said, you're not going in 100%, you can break your leg, whatever. Like, it's true, you can. Like, if you're not fully recovered when you're doing all this work, you're probably doing more damage to yourself than actually positives. Like, you are damaging yourself a lot more. So I think people misinterpret the work ethic of needing to constantly work. Whereas if you're resting, you're better for it. So I need to take that advice a little bit more, thinking about that, because yes, I do rest, but I think I put a lot of pressure on myself, and especially when you're playing football, that you probably should be you should be at a high level. People put pressure on you, and then like you shouldn't feel that pressure at all. But it's probably because I'm constantly thinking and having that mindset of always wanting more. you do overwhelm yourself, I think, and probably due to not resting. Because if you don't rest, you're not switching your mind off that one thing you want so much, you're probably doing a lot of damage to it.
But then this calls back to, though, just on that point that you said about if you're not fully rested, that you're going to potentially do yourself damage. As you said, that could also come in the form of being too rested. If you stayed up too late because you were resting and now you're tired, you're in the same predicament. It is this balance to conjure of... It is hard. It's really quite... I think when people think what it actually means to work hard, topics like these completely go under the radar of... You know it's hard to go to the gym every day or to study every day or to do the thing that you really don't want to do, go in the cold shower, whatever it is. We know that's hard, but we don't speak about how hard it is to learn how to just integrate into the world and do these things. It's like, if you're afforded the luxury of a job that doesn't require too much of your time, which you and I both are, it's very easy to... How do I put this? Sort of feel as though you have to do these things all the time. You don't have any time to do anything else but these things, forgetting the fact that you do in fact have that luxury. There are times when you can schedule that in and just relax and do the thing, as we've touched on here, where you just relax. I'm trying to convolute this point when it needn't be convoluted.
Yeah, no, relaxing is a lot more important than people might think. 100%.
Just on that point, if you look at into neurology on this, a bit of neuroscience, the growth that you would assume you are granted as a result of the studying that you're doing, for instance, you don't actually get that growth whilst you're doing it. The neurons that are firing or are connected as a result of acquiring new information, that process occurs whilst you're asleep. And it occurs at a specific time of being asleep, which you don't access if you don't sleep for the right amount of time. You go through 4 stages within your sleep cycle, and the third and the fourth are the ones where this sort of connecting of the synapses occurs that provides you to retain the information or the muscle memory, whatever, that you want. So if you're studying something and you go, oh wow, it's so cool that I know that, you won't retain that information until you go to sleep, at which point the neurons will be reconnected and the work will be done. So essentially, if you don't sleep or you don't rest, that won't happen.
Yeah, that's true. And I think I saw a video on sleep cycle, and I know what you're talking about, the 4 stages, because I saw a video on it, and I was really interested in it because I was like, I probably should really think about this, because there's 4 stages. I think they last 90 minutes each or something like that.
This cycle is 90 minutes.
Yeah, and the whole cycle's 90 minutes, and then, for example, you might not wake up, like you want to wake up at the end of stage 4 and be fine. I could be waking up in the middle of stage 2, and that's when people are feeling tired.
That's where you wake up, as the saying goes, on the wrong side of the bed.
Exactly. So I need to probably think about... I knew it. I know, like, that was a problem that people might be having. So I probably should kind of, if it lasts 90 minutes, make sure that I'm going to bed at a perfect time, or like around the time, because obviously people don't fall asleep straight away, where I can then wake up after that stage 4 and hopefully try and make sure I'm not waking up in the stage 2, stage 3, because you're probably not also recovered well either.
No. Because
you're waking up in the middle of that sleep cycle. So that is another thing that I was interested in, but I haven't actually... I didn't know how to do the math on it, because obviously I didn't know how quickly it takes for me to fall asleep. But I have seen these special watches. I don't know if you've seen them, the Whoop ones.
Yeah.
They look cool.
Yeah.
But I think they're really expensive, and you have to pay like a membership for it like each month.
And I don't know if you even need them. Like,
You probably don't. No, they do like just sleep recovery, and they do like a Fitbit. I think what they used to do. They probably do a bit more. I haven't done fully research into it, but I think making sure that you just go to bed at roughly the same time and waking up roughly the same time, you're fine.
do you know it's actually more important on that point to make sure that you wake up at the same time?
Is it?
Yeah, irrespective of what time you go to bed. It's better for your circadian rhythm to know roughly when you're going to be awake every single day. It's just on that point, it's why if you wake up and then you stay in bed and you go back to bed and you end up where you had, say, 7.5 hours and then you wake up and get out of bed after 9 hours, it's why you feel it's why when you sleep too much you're tired, because you've gone to the cycle's not where it should be. It's why you will notice you will have had days where you've got 4.5 hours sleep and you're like, I feel all right. Yeah. I feel, and then you have a day where you're 9 hours where it's like, in theory, I've slept twice as much and I'll be twice as rested.
I'll tell you what,
you're not half as much.
That happened to me at the weekend because I'm sure you know it was the Australian Grand Prix.
I do now.
Well, it was the Australian Grand Prix, and it was the first season of the Formula One, like the first race. And me and my dad always watch it each year because it's just cool getting up at that time and watching something. My dad came in, it was like 3 a.m, and he was like, "You okay? Like, do you want to get up, watch the race?" And I felt so awake. Like, I must have been at the end of that cycle. And I got up, went downstairs. Literally, I had some toast at like 3 a.m. watching the Grand Prix. And I was so awake, like, I was fine. But I did sleep. I didn't go to bed that late, but I went to bed, like, decent enough, like, so I could have enough time to, like, wake up. But I wasn't tired at all. But then certain days, like, and I think people do fall in the trap, if you don't have work the next day, you think, oh, I'm going to rest. But you always naturally wake up at probably the same time.
Yeah, you do.
So say if you, I don't know, it can vary per person, but so say like you get up at 7 each morning, but then you're like, oh, I don't have work tomorrow, so I can stay in bed. Your eyes will probably open at around 7, but then you tell yourself, oh, I don't need to get out of bed. Go back to sleep for a couple of hours and you are knackered.
Yeah.
You're so tired.
And on the point you made earlier, if there's stuff that you still need to do, you know, even if you don't have work, you're still putting that back.
And then, but then you're also tired for the whole day as well, because you're just like, but if you just get into the routine of getting up at the same time, I don't do it enough. I don't, like, I do like the weekends because that's when my work actually is, when I go to play football or go coach football. It's kind of backwards. Mine's like, in the week I'm free, at the weekends I'm not.
Yeah.
But I do try and I am going to try it harder because it happens in the week as well. I'm like, I don't need to get up yet. I can go back to sleep for a bit. But I was so wide awake. At that, I don't know, 7:30 when my eyes first opened. I was like, it's too early right now. I don't need to be at work until, I don't know, well, my first, like, after school club was like after school time. Obviously I didn't go to bed until then, but I was like, I can definitely stay in bed for a couple more hours. And it's like, you could have done something in that time, whether it's watching TV, chilling. Maybe that could have been my first part of the chill day, or like, I didn't need to go back to bed because now I feel terrible getting up.
Yeah.
So that is another important thing to people that don't work as much. Get up.
Yeah.
Just get up. Just do it, because you don't feel like doing it, but as soon as you're up, just splash yourself with water and you're fine. You're literally fine. But it's so easy. It's so easy to just stay in bed, and it's happened to me. It's happened to everyone, obviously. But like, just try and get out of the routine, and you feel a lot better for it.
I think that's an important point, though, that you've just made there, that it does happen to everyone. Mm-hmm. I think...
I'm not saying do it every day, but like...
But people... When you hear someone, you know, if you watch podcasters or media influencers, gurus, talk about this sort of the hustle culture, it's very easy for them to look as though they don't ever get it wrong. Or it's like they're always up on time. They're Jocko Willink at 4:30 in the morning every single day. They always do the cold shower. They always do this. They always do that. It's not the case. No. Come on. I really don't want to toot my own horn here, but it might sound like I'm going to. I do a lot of good stuff for myself, and there are a lot of things that I do every single day and have done for like a long time now. But that doesn't mean that there aren't days when I look at the end of my day and I go, fucking hell, what? You fucked it a little bit today. Like you made some costly errors.
Good,
but it's like you are a human. And there was a post from one of my good friends that I saw who said about, I can't remember the words exactly, but it was essentially, it doesn't matter if you fail, just keep trying. Just keep trying. If you keep trying, it'll work. And it's true. If you just keep doing it, it's like, it sort of safeguards you from ever failing, so long as you just keep trying. Because it's like, you haven't failed until you just refuse to do it anymore. If you mess it up today, you don't go in the cold shower, or you don't meditate, or you don't do the studying, or you didn't go to the gym, just go tomorrow.
Just make sure,
just try again.
Yeah,
just try again.
And it is hard to then fall in the trap. I think we said this last time. You don't do it one day, you'll be like, okay, I won't need to do it tomorrow. I can do it next day.
But subverting that though, I would just like to make the point of it. If you take this mindset of, I'll just try again. I'll just try again.
That mindset,
You can't fail then. And on that's where I think that strength would come from. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's fine. What I was just saying, I was just like, make sure. So if you do get into that, I miss a day. It is very easy. I'm sure a lot of gym goers know as well, or people beginning the gym. You don't go today. It gets to the next day, and you're like, I don't need to go today. I didn't go yesterday, so I know I was fine. I'm still fine. As long as you, like you said, had that mindset of just try again. Make sure that if you didn't go today, make sure, okay, I will go tomorrow. Don't have that, don't have this opposite mindset and go, no, I didn't go yesterday, I don't have to go today. And then you'll just get back into your routine and you'll be fine. Routine is the key word there. It is important. But there is, like you said before, just to take time out of that routine sometimes. Because like you said, people aren't perfect. People don't have those cold showers or meditate every single day, the ones that they say they do. I mean, actually, like you said, I've heard you say cold showers a couple of times. I do it, but I don't do it like people do for so long. So I have my normal shower and then I'll slap it cold at the end.
Yeah.
And I think that's benefited me the most, because I think when I get up in the morning, I always have a shower just because I feel refreshed and I don't want to, like, no matter what I do, if I get up, I have to have a shower.
Yeah, just feel nice.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll go walk my dog, like, before, and then I'll come back and shower, but most of the time, like, say if I was coming to this today, I'd have to shower. I can't not.
Yeah.
But I've tried this hot shower because you just want to relax when you get up and you still want to, like, and then I'll slap it cold just to make, and then I feel so good. And I've done that, but the cold shower it's not for that long. I do like a little routine quick, and then the cold shower's done. But then in the evening, I don't cold shower.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that, because you shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't do that because my body's winding down. I don't want to suddenly wake it up, because obviously when your body gets cold, it's working to get it warm again. So, and I don't need that at night time. I don't need my body working if I'm. So I don't. So I have like at least 2 showers a day. If I work out, I'll probably have 3. But, yeah, it's a warm shower in the evening, not a cold. But cold every morning. I slap it cold.
You do it every morning?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But only because I've got into that habit. Like, I just do it now. I just turn.
Yeah, and that's a lot. That's a big part of it.
But it's not a full cold shower. I don't wake up in the morning and jump in a cold shower, because that is hard. And I don't know if you've done it, but sometimes obviously like your hot water might actually be broken. Like, you might need to actually have a cold shower. But every morning I slap it cold. I do that without fail, and I just feel so good. Like, hot shower, fine. Do what, like, I actually like clean myself under the hot water, then I slap it cold. Not even for that long. It's not long at all. But it just wakes me up and I'm like, I feel so alert after it. And then at the gym, so after I've done my workout, there's a sauna, steam room.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it's nice. But so I go in the steam room most of the time because that's the hottest one, and then I jump straight into the cold shower. Like there's a shower just outside, and the feeling I get after going from the steam room to the cold shower is like insane. And then I do go back. I probably shouldn't because I feel fine, but I like to like wash all the chlorine off me, like with the shower gel. And I don't have like a boiling shower after the cold shower, but it's just like just a normal kind of temperature, and then I just go home. But I feel so good after it. I do recommend cold showers for people who haven't tried it.
Cold showers are a cheat code.
Do you do it a lot?
Yeah. I've done cold showers for probably at least 2 years every day.
Like a full cold shower? Do you not even turn it hot?
I turn it hot at the end sometimes.
At the end, yeah, it feels nice. Yeah.
No, cold showers.
Try the other way.
No. You should try my way.
Try your way.
Yeah.
Then go hot.
Yeah. Because
I've done that before. It feels nice.
Trust me. There's what you touched on there about why you shouldn't have a cold shower in the evening is why you should have one in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, that feeling, I notice it's like if I knew what cocaine was like, it'd be like a microdose of that.
It is crazy.
I stick that shower on and I'm like, I'm ready to go. I notice... See, and this is fun. This is a funny point, actually, talking about the routine controlling me. I know I would be... in some senses out of whack when it comes to how I felt if I didn't have the cold shower in the morning.
I was going to touch on that as well.
There was a time last year, I think it was, where my shower was busted. We didn't have one for like 4 or 5 days because we were getting a new one put in. Yeah. So we didn't have a shower. You had to just firm it with a bucket. Yeah. And obviously everyone else was going, oh, you can just... you could just have like a warm, like just put a bucket of warm water in. Just no, I got the hose in the garden in the bleak midwinter, and I was getting hosed down with the cold water.
No, but you feel uncomfortable while you're doing it. But as soon as it turns off and you just dry yourself, you feel so good.
I think you do, and I think people. Don't get me wrong. I have spent many times, as in. Every single day through the winter where I turn the shower on before I get in it because I know then if I stand there it's going to take me longer to pull it, whereas if I turn it on I'm going to go, the water's running, you've got to go and you have to get in it. And I've spent many a morning where I'm standing there, it's fucking pitch black outside, it's -3 outside and it's not exactly fucking warmer in there, and I'm looking at that and I go, oh, fuck's sake, that fucking water.
But do you know what?
It's brilliant.
It is, and I think I've seen benefits, and you've probably seen this. You're putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
So you're making sure you're ready for any other uncomfortable situations that you might come, because you've probably just done the most uncomfortable thing that people don't want to do straight when they get up.
It's certainly up there.
It is. But you turn it off and you kind of just feel fine. You feel so awake. And that's why I think even if you're so tired in the morning, just splashing yourself with cold water, if you don't have time for a shower and you need to leave the house.
Everyone's got time for a shower.
They do.
2 minutes.
They do.
2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Just do that. But if you need to like get up and just splash yourself with cold water as well, it wakes you up pretty much straight away. Cold shower's obviously way better.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can vouch for that because I do it as well, and it is life changing.
Yeah, absolutely. Cold showers were the first thing when I had that sort of snap, when I decided that I wanted to change who it was that I sort of saw myself as. That was the first thing. I thought, oh, fuck it. I can't.
I've seen these videos.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why cold showers were the one, but it was the one. It was the one. I haven't, since I went into the cold shower, I haven't missed a day.
The same with me.
And what I would say on that though is, one, it is hard, and it's really some days when you're in there. Trust me, it's not fun. There are times, like I'm not going to go too far into it, but when it's like, when life's not going well for you in the middle of fucking February, when it's dark outside and freezing cold, you don't want to go in that shower. Like, it's the last thing that you want to do. But that being said, the days where that has been the case for me have been some of the most poignant ones when I reflect, because I look and I go, absent of any of this sort of guilt tripping yourself when it comes to success, I can look and go, no one can ever take that away from you. That on the hardest days of your life, you still did something that most people don't do on the best.
Yeah.
Like, and that really counts for something. It's why I would be an advocate of someone at least trying the cold shower, because it's not actually that hard. Particularly, I mean, I say I'm probably coming up on 900 days cold shower.
Yeah, I'm probably close as well. I don't know how long I've done it for, but I hot shower and then I slap it cold. I've been doing that for so long. I actually don't know how long, but I've been doing it for ages. But yeah, it is good. It's good. It
armors you. That's the point I was going to make. Is I don't get as cold now because I'm used to the cold.
Yeah.
Like I notice that you go in, it's freezing cold. I was doing 3 minutes until I gave myself chilblains. So now I'm doing two. Now I'm doing 2 minutes, and they've gone away now. I notice now that by 20 seconds in, it's just like, all right, well, it's another day. This is what you do. I think when you do these things, there absolutely comes a point. We said this on the last podcast where it's just what you do. It's not hard anymore. Like it would be harder for me to not go in the cold shower now because I'd be itching. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are we not in the cold shower? My mind would be going mental because I go, this is not what we do. Why are you not here?
Yeah, I was going to say it also, because it's uncomfortable, it makes you mentally stronger because
you can endure.
Yeah, because you don't want to do it. It's uncomfortable. But then I do mine's on like a dial. I just slap it cold right at the end, and I don't want to do it, but every day I make sure I do it, slap it cold, and you're just like, like you're cold.
Yeah.
But like you said, like 20 seconds in, I probably don't do it for that long at all.
How long do you reckon you do it?
Maybe like a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe like a minute, but it's enough. And then the one at the gym, I do it until it turns off, and that's probably about 30 seconds, but that's straight out the steam room, and it is cold, and it's really cold. It's probably colder than my one at home, but it is really, really beneficial, and I recommend it.
I think it's something that it's almost a bit cliche now, the cold shower, where it's everyone go, oh, do the cold shower, but come like. There's a reason. There is a reason why people shout from the rooftops about the cold shower. It's because it really is good for you, and it's such a small commitment in actual fact. Where it's like, if you boil it down, ironically, it's 1 to 3, maybe not even 1 minute, up to 3 minutes of your time in a day. I would wage that when I look at the other things that I do, that the cold shower for time invested to benefits gained is the best one. Yeah. Because it's like 3 minutes at the start of the day, and all of what comes from there, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
like
it's
when you think, for the gym to even be somewhat valuable, you'd need to put at least half an hour in. At the very least, more like an hour, maybe even 2 hours for some people. Not 3 minutes. You go into the gym for 3 minutes, you're not going to see a great deal. If you read for 3 minutes, you're not going to see a great deal. The cold shower is one of the only ones where you will see an exponential amount of change for the good in your character, in your person, in your body, in such a small amount of time.
Yeah, I think it does change your body. Actually.
It does. Yeah, it does.
It does, like
thins you for a start.
Because it like strips like the body fat off. Not like obviously like straight in front of you, but like because your body's working hard to warm itself up again. It's burning calories doing that. So yeah, if you want to lose some body fat, cold shower is perfect. But obviously, and eat well. But
that might have been the reason why I started mine, because I when I sort of started improvement, I was 13 stone 13.
Okay.
So I was 3 stone more than what I am now. So that may well have been one of the sort of parts of that, because I remember I did a cold shower and then sit up straight away. I was getting
David Goggins style.
that. I have to say, David Goggins is. I'm glad you've brought his beautiful face into this conversation. David Goggins is probably the most valuable person that I've heard talk, in terms of, I don't listen to Goggins anymore, but he's always there. Like, I listen to him so much. I used to put a video of him on whilst I was in the cold shower as a bit of company.
Well, then it makes you realise what you're doing is actually really beneficial, though, just by even putting him on.
And it makes you realise as well, when you look at someone, this is why I think people like him are so valuable, is it makes you realise what you can do. It makes you realise, if he can do what he's doing, I can do this.
Yeah,
and there's solidarity in that. And just on this point, he was, I consider him like, have you ever seen the sort of the devil and the angel on the shoulders?
Yeah.
He's like my devil, but for the good parts.
Yeah.
He's the one shouting in my ear when I do the wrong thing. So, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
I've actually noticed that my train of thought when it comes to pushing myself forward is essentially his voice.
Okay.
I have to say, I do think Goggins is a bit of like a, you know, the way for a rocket to get up to space, it has there's certain parts of it that will fall away when it gets out of the atmosphere. There are parts of a rocket that are specifically for the purpose of just getting you to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That David Goggins is that in some sense to me, where it's like he gets you up and then you propel onwards. I do think though, I'm going to make a point of this, because I think David Goggins is someone that is ridiculed and attacked and sort of tabooed and cliched, as we just said there, where it's like, he's almost become to some people cringe, and I hate that, because I think I do, like, with some hindsight and sort of reflection, I don't agree entirely with the way that he is for me. It obviously works for him.
Yeah.
But I don't, I am someone who is more like, no, I think in order for me to actually be happy, I need a sort of 70-30 balance when it comes to work versus play, whereas his is more like 95-5.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think of all the people for someone to just be aware actually exists, I definitely think David Goggins is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch him, but obviously I've just seen videos and people obviously talk about him and how motivational he can be, and you just realising what you can do because he's doing an insane amount of work. You can do that little cold shower because he's just, I don't know, waking up at stupid o'clock, going on a run in the rain, like
For 160 miles.
Yeah, like you can have a cold shower.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, to probably be more positive and be more driven to be successful, he's a good person to watch, because you're realising what you can actually do if you really, really, really try, and how much he's working.
Yeah.
You can do that little thing that you're putting off.
Do you know, this is where I'd say you sort of take pinches or flavours from different people, and that... Do you know what parasocial friends are? So a parasocial friend is someone who you're friends with but they don't know you. So or someone you like more so.
Okay.
So if you like an influencer online, that would be a parasocial friend, because you know them, they don't know you.
Okay.
I think it's really important actually that you take little sort of parts from these different people and bring them all together into your own space to sort of gauge how you are on these topics. You can take the one end of the spectrum, David Goggins, where it's like all the hustle. You can take some of that back to base and incorporate that within yourself, and then you can take from somewhere else something more like, I don't know, Paulo Coelho's way of writing novels that speak of sort of the importance of the spirit. You can sort of bring these things all into one place. I don't think you have to adopt entirely the
Yeah,
David Goggins,
find the balance
but you can
for
take
you.
some. There's definitely some of that to be taken, and you should do that as well. I've noticed the best way for me to do this is you go 100% David Goggins, and over time you realise, no, it's not quite working.
Yeah.
I'll take what was valuable with me. I'll take the cold shower, and then you go, right, let me Paulo Coelho it for a bit and just go full spirit mode. And then you go, no, I do need the hard work as well, though. Let me take the empathy and bring it back to base. And you just sort of, I do think there's a value in being intentionally unbalanced as to create balance.
Yeah, 100%. Because obviously you then realise, hold on, this isn't for me.
Yeah. You try it.
Yeah, you try it. And I think doing it with like the right mindset of trying to be successful, you're in a sense, you're using other people's characteristics and drives and what they need to do to succeed to bring into your own, and then you're kind of creating your own person.
Yeah.
And then hopefully people then start looking up to you.
Yeah.
Because people then realise, and then people start taking stuff off you. Do you think David Goggins realised straight away that people were going to do that? Maybe. But they realised, like, he probably was just showing the world what humans can do.
He was. Yeah, he's spoken on the record on that.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden people are taking parts of him to try and integrate in their own routine, and then it's becoming beneficial for them, which he probably didn't realise at the start, and now was like, oh, hold on, I've actually benefited people here. So it is important, and I think the balance that you then end up finding, like you said, from the writer, from David Goggins, you take these characteristics and you do make them your own, because you, like you said, you took the cold shower of David Goggins and then the spiritual side of
Paulo Coelho.
So yeah, and then obviously you don't have to do that with two people. You can do it with like loads.
Yeah,
of people.
that's for the sake of the example. That's the point.
So obviously I think it helps as well if you look up to that person.
Yeah.
Like for the amount of footballers that I look up to, sometimes I'd watch I've seen recently professional footballers do like TikTok day in a life, and I watch them, or they'll do a YouTube day in a life, and I'll just see what they're doing. Obviously they've already made it, so they probably weren't doing that at the start. But I'm seeing how chill they are. Because they've made it, they're a lot happier. They are happy. Obviously there'll be days where they're not, and they're showing the happy stuff on social media, but it makes you realise, like, okay, I can take that out of their life and just see how much I can integrate it in mine.
It speaks of one of the essential reasons as to why I wanted to create this podcast, of you feel loneliness is one of the biggest issues when it comes to working towards things. And I think people like David Goggins really helped me sort of sidestep as much of that emotion as possible, where it's like you feel understood. You feel, in your case with a footballer's day in the life, that someone is there to sort of be like that big brother almost, in some sense. They guide you along the way. They help you out. And I think it's really important, actually, that you do find these sort of heroes of sorts, and be open about that as well. There's nothing wrong with looking at some people and going, do you know what? You are like a hero to me. You're someone that really has inspired me to be a better person, to work towards something. Just on that point, who is that to you?
I don't really know. I like a lot of professional footballers. I've seen quotes as well. I have one on my phone. I have a couple on my phone from Messi, because obviously I look up to him, because he's like the best of all time, probably obviously one of them.
Definitely one of them.
Yeah. So I look at quotes from him. They're on my phone. I'll get one up actually, because they change between two. So like one here, it says, a champion simply someone who didn't give up when they could have.
Exactly.
There's one person, and then there's another quote on there. I can't exactly remember what it says when I read it. Like, it's just on my phone, so I can see it.
Yeah.
But so he's definitely one of them. There's obviously your parents, because of how much they've put effort into you, into doing what you want to do. Like, they helped me go to America. They helped me they're still pushing for me to go do what I want to do, as in play professionally. So yeah, parents, and then like loads of players that have got to the where they have, and obviously some players as well that have got to where they are from absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, how have you done that? Like we live a good life. They were in the kind of literally in the trenches.
Yeah, in the favelas of Brazil.
Exactly. They're the ones I look up to as well. Like, how have you done that? So yeah, definitely parents and professional footballers. You've got to look up to them because everyone wants to be a professional footballer. Everyone wants to do it, and I know that. But I've just got to have that mindset of, okay, well, I'm going to be one of those people then. Like, it's not like they've done it, so I can do it. So I constantly have that mindset, but then for the people that have just made out of completely nothing, I think are very inspiring in that sense.
Would you ever put yourself into that bracket? As someone for you to look up to?
I've never thought of it like that, to be honest. And I don't know if people do that. I don't know. I've never done that. Maybe I should look at it more saying, okay, you're doing well, you need to keep looking up to yourself. But I think it's hard to do that when you haven't made it to where you want to.
Is it, or have you not thought about how you could do it?
I haven't thought. And I probably inspire more people than I think because I coach very young kids.
Yeah.
And they probably think that. Maybe they don't, maybe they do, but they probably do because I definitely did it to coaches when I was younger.
I would wager that they do. I'd be surprised if they don't.
Yeah, well, thanks. But yeah, I definitely did it to coaches and people when I was younger as well. So, yeah, I probably should do that as well, but I don't know. I just haven't thought about doing that. So
I think it's an important thing for you to consider for your own, even for yourself, to yourself, or to yourself for yourself rather. I think it is really important to sometimes just look around at what you've created for yourself. I think it's one thing that we don't do anywhere near as much as we should.
Because you're always looking at...
You're always wanting more.
You're always comparing yourself, which you also shouldn't really do. I know people say that.
No.
You shouldn't compare yourself because, like, to others that are maybe around your ability or around in whatever you're doing, because they've still gone through it. You're going through your own journey, and whether it comes at different times, for your podcast, for my football, like you've got to focus on yourself and not worry about, there's young footballers right now who are younger than me and they're proper making it, and it's like, okay,
takes time for different people.
Exactly. So you've just got, and then you've got, it's kind of fun in a sense because you're enjoying your process. You've got to realise that you're doing that. You're enjoying your kind
you
of
have to
journey.
be present with what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, you've got to enjoy your journey. So, yeah, I think that's a definite for people pushing on to do something. Don't compare yourself to others and kind of enjoy your own journey and your own process.
I just want to, to round this video out, I want to just home in a little bit on that point of sort of being proud of yourself, being aware of yourself, because I think that's the sort of the running theme of this video has been that sort of understanding of when you require some rest, when you deserve some rest, when you should be doing things just because you want to be doing things, just sort of essentially being in understanding of yourself. I think this is a nice point to end on, that you should learn to congratulate yourself. And I have found myself able to do this through my shadow. Now, my point I shall make here is I've spent, as I'm sure I will go into in more depth at some point, quite a few days where life has not been so rosy. And some of those days have been spent out on a run when it's been pitch black and it's cold, and those days have been the hard ones, but the ones where you've still got something done. And I noticed a running theme, ironically, of when I went running at 6 in the morning or at 12 at night, at the times when I shouldn't have done because things were hard, I kept facing my own shadow. I would look down at the floor, I would see my shadow running, and I began over a period of time to sort of consider that like the strongest part of me. It's like you go out on that run and you feel so alone, and then you realise that you are your own friend in some senses. There is a conversation going on in your head with, how do I explain this? With two people in some senses. You think if you think about something, there are two sides to that thought. You are thinking and replying in some senses. I've noticed that when I've gone out on runs and I've looked at my shadow, there has been that part of me that it's sort of been the only time when I've been able to look at something that is me in my shadow and think, that shadow's still here, even when things are hard, even when things are as miserable as they are, I'm still doing the thing. I'm still working towards the thing. Yeah. And those times when I've sort of opened that conversation and realised that, you know, you really are who you say you are, those have been some of the most proud and fond moments of mine, because it's sort of like all the work that you do all of the rest of the time has come to a head in this point where you finally give yourself some praise for the fact that you're doing the right thing. And I think it's really important for people to be aware of the fact that they might not, and on this point I shall make this more personal, potentially you should be aware of the fact that you might not give yourself the right amount of praise or the right amount of gratitude or well dones, be that in the form of rest or reward or whatever. I think it's important for you, me, and anyone listening to this to just consider how far they have come from where they once were.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a brilliant point, because I think people think that because you're always striving for more, people don't realise actually you have what's the word? You have like succeeded in a lot so far in your life. Like people don't realise like, oh, because I want to do this, I haven't got there yet, aren't realising what they have done. So I think people, me included, need to realise actually you've accomplished, that was the word, quite a lot already. And
look what you've created for yourself.
Exactly.
Look where you were, look where you are.
Exactly, and people need to think that, anyone watching, about themselves as well, in whatever they strive to do. Even though you're striving to do it, look at the person you've become in that sense. So I think that's a great point to make.
Would you 2 years ago be overjoyed with being the version that you are of yourself now? If that person who was just for the sake of ease of the point, if I looked back at myself when I was fat, undisciplined, lustful, vengeful, arrogant, if that version of me could have gone like that and become who I am now, would he be happy? Would he be proud of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what has happened.
Yeah.
You know, that is what has happened.
Yeah, and that's good that you've realised that and seen that, because I think it'd be the same for me as well. I was thinking that, like, I'm always saying, okay, I'm gonna go pro soon. Like, in 2 years ago, I was probably like, I'm gonna be pro by then. It doesn't always work like that, but I have accomplished a lot in those 2 years. I've come on this podcast speaking. I never do that. I would never have seen myself do that. I've gone out to America, away from my family, done all this stuff, and I probably didn't realise that until you brought that point up, but yeah, you've got to realise about how much you've accomplished in a certain amount of time, and whether you're a different person to, or a much better person to what you were two or more years ago.
It is about progress, but there's no point in any of that progress if you're not happy, if you're not aware of the fact that it's occurring.
And happiness comes with rest.
Yeah, and to boil it down to the point, if you want to be happy, you need to put some rest into your time.
It does, yeah.
Dacre, you know how it is. You know all of what I said the last time that we encapsulated this stands to be true again. I always enjoy your time. I think you're very wise and open to ideas, open to thinking about things, and you're one of the first people that I've ever heard be capable of being so self-aware of the fact, you know, a few times today you've gone, you know, I might not have actually thought about that before. Not many people can do that, and that stands to say that among being someone who is as pleasant as they are talented, you're also humble.
Thanks. Thank you. Likewise for you too.
And on that point, we're showing this episode. Thank you very much for your time, bro.
Thank you.
Lovely stuff.